It's time to put the good in your morning. You're watching the KOAM and Morning News on Fox 14. Today, violence between Israel and Palestinian militants continues to escalate this morning. We'll have the latest as neither side appears poised to back down.
While it's overcast outside on the sky camera, guess what? We're finally done with the rain and we look out to the west. We've got blue skies ahead of us. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center. And imagine waking up one day with a foreign accent. We'll take a look at what's called foreign accent syndrome and the science behind it. The KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 starts now. Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Rockets continued flying between Israel and Gaza all day and some of the worst fighting in years. Since Monday, at least 43 Palestinians have been killed, including 13 children, and at least 5 Israelis have been killed, one child among them. Israel pounded the Gaza Strip with airstrikes this morning as fighting with Hamas continues. Yesterday, Israelis ran for cover as Hamas launched its own attacks. Tensions escalated last month when Palestinians were angered by Israeli limits on Ramadan gatherings. And now since the beginning of Ramadan, there's even more unrest. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he will respond with force to any attacks and is calling up reinforcements. Egyptian officials are trying to broker a ceasefire. More and more gas stations on the East Coast are running out of gas as people anxiously fill their tanks after a ransomware attack shut down the Colonial pipeline last Friday. 5,500-mile pipeline supplies about 45% of all fuel used on the East Coast. That's where nervous drivers have been lining up and filling up. Officials say there's not a fuel shortage right now, but people hoarding gasoline could fuel one. By the end of today, Colonial Pipeline could make a decision about a full restart. And a proposed gas tax hike in Missouri is one step closer to becoming reality. Last night, Republican state lawmakers passed a bill to raise the gas tax for the first time in decades. If signed by Governor Mike Parson, the measure would raise the tax 2.5 cents a year until it hits 29.5 cents per gallon in the year 2025. The state would use the increased revenue to pay for road and bridge maintenance. Missouri's governor announces his state will no longer participate in the program that gives unemployed Americans an extra $300 in unemployment benefits. The program, set to expire in September, will now end in mid-June for Missourians. Like Arkansas's governor, who made the same announcement last week, Governor Parson cited a job market that's struggling to find workers.
Despite our economy's strong comeback, many business owners and employers across the state are still struggling, not because of COVID-19, but because they can't find people to fill the jobs.
The state's participation in the program ends June 12th. A chase in Newton County, Missouri leads to gunshots and puts a suspect in the hospital. Newton County deputies armed with warrants tried to contact a burglary suspect. They say the 26-year-old man pointed a weapon at officers and drove off. Officers chased him into McDonald County, where the highway patrol used spike strips to flatten his tires. They say he drove into a field near Highway C and CC and then got out and shot at deputies. That's when deputies returned fire, injuring the suspect. At last report, the suspect was at a Joplin hospital. The Ottawa County Sheriff's Office says a fire in a holding cell at the jail Monday night was intentionally set. The inmate who allegedly did it is already accused of leading a small riot a couple of weeks ago. Police say that inmate is Tristan Tiffany. Investigators determined the fire was intentionally set due to the fact that there was no wires or any voltage near the area where the fire happened. Sheriff's Office says Tiffany will be charged with first-degree arson, destruction of property, and endangering the lives of first responders. He's already facing charges of rioting and malicious injury following the disturbance in the jail back in April. A house explosion in northeast Kansas leaves one man dead and a woman seriously injured. Jackson County authorities say the explosion happened around 6 p.m. Monday north of Holton, Kansas. The blast leveled the home and killed 61-year-old Billy Griffiths. A woman also in the house at the time of the explosion was airlifted to a Kansas City hospital with serious injuries. The cause of the explosion remains under investigation, but officials believe the home was under renovation. They have not ruled out a gas leak as the cause. The city of Joplin announces the retirement of its fire chief. Jim Ferguson has been with the department for 20 years. He was promoted to captain in 2006 and chief in 2015. The city says Ferguson and city manager Nick Edwards will work on transition plans and name an interim chief in the upcoming weeks. Heartland Rural Electric Cooperative completes the construction on 2 new solar farms, and with some help from Greenbush, they flipped the switch. The new solar farms are a 1 megawatt array near Greenbush and another 1 megawatt array between Erie and Chanute along 160th Road. The array near Greenbush will be incorporated into education programs. The 2 new sites represent the first completed components of a statewide project involving 11 other electric co-ops that will power 80,000 homes. Scientists have created a flat pasta that can morph into shapes when cooked. This is pretty cool. It's an effort led by the Morphing Matter Lab at Carnegie Mellon University in Pennsylvania. So how do they do it? They start with flat pasta dough and impress tiny grooves using a stamp. The grooves cause the pasta to morph into tubes, spirals, twists, and waves when cooked. Okay then. So why do they do it? The team says the shape-shifting design is all about conservation. Flat packing pasta could reduce packaging and save space in storage and transportation. The team says they were inspired by space-saving flat-packed furniture. Now that's using the old noodle, isn't it?
You answered my question. I was simply going to ask you why. And
just for space
now I know
storage issues, yeah.
Right. I feel like an idiot.
Well,
now,
we keep saying space storage, but it makes me think that there's some like application they could further use for this in outer space.
I would think astronauts would appreciate like some pasta every now and then. I don't know. They may eat pasta.
Or you know, when we get to where we're eventually living on the moon or Mars or some other planet or some other place, like we're not going to always want to eat space food. So we need to be able to package our food wisely so it can transport and get to its destination, and we can have a lot of it stored.
The best part is Matt Damon can try it for us first. Now, while we're still here on Mother Earth, Tanya, we do have overcast skies on our Wednesday morning, but I tell you, here's a nice thing. Our rain just about done here, just clinging to a little bit on the northern portion of southwest Missouri. Every now and then throughout the about early to mid-morning hours, we're going to see a little pop-up of rain, equivalent of a couple of raindrops on your windshield. That's all it's going to be. We are done with everything rolling in from the west. We've got a nice high-pressure system sitting out to the west. It's going to clear off our skies and give us sunshine later. And our temperatures beginning finally to get up consistently into the 50s. Our day planner for today is actually going to send us into the low to mid 60s later on with gradually clearing skies. A little northeasterly breeze, but certainly not too bad. So that's that little pop-up I was talking about. We'll be done with it by the noon hour. Then we can clear off and actually enjoy about 3 consecutive mornings and afternoons that are going to be delightful. Now, Saturday and Sunday are going to bring us some thunderstorm activity with much warmer temperatures, a lot of instability up in the air. But to end a work week, I tell you what, it's hard to beat this for the middle of May.
All right, up next, gearing up for a new age group.
The FDA has given emergency authorization to Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for children ages 12 to 15. I'm Chris Warner with how one local health official feels and what he hopes will happen.
And the SEK Humane Society takes in 9 dogs after the state removed them from a local home. We'll have details. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. The FDA gives emergency authorization to Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for kids ages 12 to 15. And now local schools and health departments are waiting on guidance to determine how to get those kids vaccinated. KOAM's Chris Warner spoke with the Newton County Health Department and the Neosho School District about what's next.
Newton County Health Department Administrator Larry Bergner is excited about the new age group being opened up to vaccines. However, he knows there may be some hesitancy, as many have heard the virus doesn't impact children nearly as severely as adults.
Those younger age groups, while they may not become sick or they may not be as affected, they can still carry the virus and therefore can pass that on to an age group that is have more detrimental effects of the COVID virus.
With the news of the authorization just out Monday, Bergner says there are still a number of unknowns when it comes to the best ways to get kids vaccinated quickly.
Right, as we get more information and guidelines, we certainly will share that with our school districts, those personnel and the parents in the community. But certainly we want to get the word out that that vaccine now is available, and we want to start getting those folks vaccinated as quickly as we can.
For Neosho School District Superintendent Dr. Jim Cummins, they're playing a similar waiting game with the state.
Well, I'm sure DESI's going to come out with some ideas on how we can handle that for students.
But Cummins says the district is prepared to offer whatever support they can.
If we can offer a site where they can come and do vaccinations with proper parent permission and those type of things, we're all for it. Whatever we can do to help move us past the current pandemic that we are in.
In Neosho, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Now, Cummins says the district recently had a mass vaccination clinic at their junior high for teachers and staff, and the district is open to offering similar clinics at the appropriate schools for students. Well, if you have any questions about vaccines and kids or vaccines in general, you can always ask those on our website at koamnewsnow.com/vaccine. Tomorrow on KOAM and Fox 14, you can skip the middleman and ask the experts directly, and that's when we'll be hosting Vaccine Day. Experts from Mercy Hospital Joplin will take your calls and answer your questions regarding the COVID-19 vaccine. Join us for each newscast, starting with the KOAM Morning News for our Vaccine Day special. Well, it was the first spacecraft to enter interstellar space in 2012, and now 8 years later, Voyager 1's data is revealing new insights. According to a new study, the spacecraft detects a persistent hum beyond our solar system. Findings published in the journal Nature Astronomy on Monday say the sound is plasma waves reverberating through space, changing in frequency based on surrounding density. Voyager 1 was built with special antennas to pick up these tones and transmit that information 14 billion miles back to Earth. The sounds collected since 2012 reveal a new way to measure densities in interstellar space, according to the Cornell University-led team, creating a system, they say, to better map the space between the stars.
If you really want to geek out, you can actually go listen to the point where it crosses over.
So how old are these sounds that we're hearing now?
That's what, I was thinking the same thing. I know, because you remember you and I were talking about the stars?
I'm sure this Cornell team has figured out the math and knows that answer, but yeah.
It's so
I mean,
cool.
it's not real time, we know that.
And like,
Are we just now
they
hearing?
do a good job like pointing out exactly, like when you're listening to it, you need to listen at 58 seconds, because the untrained ear, I was like, I couldn't pick it up normally. But yeah, it's really cool. I love that story.
So what do you think the hum is? There's
theories. I mean, I'm not that smart. I'm smart enough to tell you it's overcast skies. It's about when my space knowledge stops. Tanya loves her space stories, though. Sun just having a hard time poking out over the cloud cover, but I tell you what, at least we're headed in the right direction on this Wednesday morning, as we're going to have temperatures that are eventually going to be up into the 60s. Not too bad right now, 50 degrees, comparatively speaking, where we've been past couple of days. Little rain just up in the northern portion of southwest Missouri right there. Every now and then we're going to have one pop up and just give us a couple raindrops, but we're just about done with our rain for most of the week. Flood warning for the Little Osage. It's going to last until Thursday. Temperatures right now, low 50s. Hard to beat because, comparatively speaking, That's 5, 6, 7 degrees warmer than what we had just yesterday. Remember, go back 2 days ago, that's going to be about a 12 to 15 degree jump. All the thunderstorm activity stays down along the Gulf Coast to the mid-Atlantic. Our temperature is going to be in the mid-60s for the next 2 days. Important aspect, sunshine. We're going to roll that all the way to Friday. Back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
More than 100 people have reported waking up with a foreign accent. Sometimes it's from a place they've never visited. Most of them say it happened after a surgery or a stroke. Jenny Moose reports on foreign accent syndrome.
Angie Yen is counting the days on TikTok.
It's day 2. It's day 10 since I woke up with an Irish accent.
Problem with that is she's Australian.
I woke up with an Irish accent, and I've never been to Ireland before.
The 27-year-old dentist shocked herself when she began singing in the shower with an Irish accent. This was 9 days after surgery to have her tonsils removed.
I'm completely freaked out.
This is how her Aussie accent used to sound.
I'm just calling to cancel my membership, and I was just wondering for the monthly payments that I've paid.
Now she sounds like this.
And my sister's like, oh no, I've got an Irish sister now.
The most likely culprit, the rare but very real foreign accent syndrome, which occurs after a head injury, stroke, or just plain old surgery.
It's not a real foreign accent, but rather a damaged form of the person's native language and accent.
Angie gets messages saying she's faking, that it's BS.
Hi, Owen. Unfortunately, it's not fake. It's now day 13 since I woke up with a foreign accent.
Her accent remains changed, though the similarity to Irish comes and goes. There have been about 150 reported cases of foreign accent syndrome. This Florida woman had a stroke and went from sounding like this.
We've got fabulous things.
To this.
I felt like I was going bloody crazy.
And after Karen Butler from Oregon was sedated to have teeth pulled, her accent changed from this.
Hi, this is Karen. Sorry I can't come to the phone at the moment.
To this.
Talk to young girls, they think it's a very, very pretty sound, and they say, oh, I want an accent like that. Oh, well, just go see my dentist.
But Angie doesn't find her accent pretty. Sometimes she cries.
I'm losing my identity as an Aussie Asian. I don't feel like I belong.
But often she laughs, for instance, over her mother's reaction.
She said, can you go to church now? And I was like, Mom, why? I'm not possessed.
Mom wants her to pray, but at least now she says she can hit higher notes.
When will my reflection show?
Jeannie Moose, CNN, New York.
All from a trip to the dentist. That's so interesting. We'll be right back. It's time to honor today's four-state hero. Second Lieutenant Paul Dotter served in the United States Air Force from 1942 to 1946. He fought in World War II and was later assigned as an Air Watch officer for the Nuremberg trials. His hometown, Coffeyville, Kansas. We're proud to salute Paul Dotter, our four-state hero. The SEK Humane Society takes in several dogs after they were removed from a local home. And a local dog kennel refutes findings in the Humane Society of the United States Horrible 100 report. KOAM's Zach Dodge has the story.
The Animal Facilities Inspection Program of the Kansas Department of Agriculture notified some unlicensed individuals that due to the number of dogs they had in their facility, they were not operating legally.
The Department of Ag says it was a residence with more than 20 dogs, the max you can have without being licensed. So after a court order, 9 were taken, and now they're at the SEK Humane Society, where Jasmine Kyle says there's signs the females were used as breeders and their road to recovery has just begun.
These dogs have not been handled. They are extremely terrified of humans. It is very hard to even hold the dogs, handle the dogs, so that is where us as Humane Society workers come in.
She says it's a situation that happens more than it should and can be seen even at licensed facilities. The Humane Society of the U.S. put out their Horrible 100 report, highlighting what they say are 100 problem puppy sellers. 7 were listed in Kansas.
These are just the identified cases. So always keep your eyes and ears open. You know, if you see a barnyard outlet and you see dogs in cages and units, that's a big red flag.
One listed is Whispering Oaks Kennel in Coffeyville, where the Humane Society says they photographed dogs in crowded cages and outdoor enclosures that weren't structurally sound, creating a concern during inclement weather. But the owner refutes that. Owner Christy Hilliard tells us her cages outside are anchored, her dogs have 34 acres to run and play on, and aren't crowded when they are inside. She follows all the laws and regulations, and works hard to make sure her dogs are happy and healthy. She also mentioned that the USDA just inspected her facility and that no issues were found, something the Humane Society report backs up. She tells us that she knows there are bad breeders out there, but she isn't one of them. In Crawford County, Zach Dodge, KUAM News.
The Kansas Department of Agriculture says it will continue to monitor the home where the dogs were taken. And we reached out to the Humane Society of the United States after hearing from the owner of Whispering Oaks Kennel, but have not heard back from them. Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, the return of travel.
Travel experts say more Americans taking to the roads and skies like never before. And get this, the numbers may be on the rise. I'm Kevin Cork in Washington with more on what promises to be quite a travel weekend for the Memorial Day holiday.
And how you can get federal assistance to make your internet bill a little cheaper. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
Look.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:31. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Missouri's governor announces his state will no longer participate in the program that gives unemployed Americans an extra $300 in unemployment benefits. The program, set to expire in September, will now end in mid-June for Missourians. Like Arkansas's governor, who made the same announcement last week, Governor Parson cited a job market that's struggling to find workers.
Continuing these programs only worsens the workforce issues we're currently facing. It's time that we end these programs that have incentivized people to stay out of the workforce. This is an important step towards returning to normalcy and strengthening our economy.
The state's participation in the program ends June 12th. A proposed gas tax hike in Missouri is one step closer to becoming reality. Last night, Republican state lawmakers passed a bill to raise the gas tax for the first time in decades. If signed by Governor Mike Parson, the measure would raise the tax by 2.5 cents a year until it hits 29.5 cents per gallon in the year 2025. The state would use the increased revenue to pay for road and bridge maintenance. A chase in Newton County, Missouri leads to gunshots and puts a suspect in the hospital. Newton County deputies armed with warrants tried to contact a burglary suspect. They say the 26-year-old man pointed a weapon at officers and drove off. Officers chased him into McDonald County, where the highway patrol used spike strips to flatten his tires. They say he drove into a field near Highway C and CC and then got out and shot at deputies. That's when deputies returned fire, injuring the suspect. At last report, the suspect was at a Joplin hospital. The Ottawa County Sheriff's Office says a fire in a holding cell at the jail Monday night was intentionally set. The inmate who allegedly did it is already accused of leading a small riot a couple of weeks ago. Police say that inmate is Tristan Tiffany. Investigators determined the fire was intentionally set due to the fact that there are no wires or any voltage near the area where the fire happened. Sheriff's Office says Tiffany will be charged with first-degree arson, destruction of property, and endangering the lives of first responders. He's already facing charges of rioting and malicious injury following the disturbance in the jail back in April. Heartland Rural Electric Cooperative completed the construction on 2 new solar farms, and with some help from Greenbush, they flipped the switch. The new solar farms are a 1 megawatt array near Greenbush and another 1 megawatt array between Erie and Chanute along 160th Road. The array near Greenbush will be incorporated into education programs. The 2 new sites represent the first completed components of a statewide project involving 11 other electric co-ops that will power the 80,000 homes. Jasper and Newton County chapter of 100 Women Who Care is helping the Solace House gain ownership of the Solace House. Solace House is a nonprofit end-of-life care facility. It does not own the house it operates out of, though. So 100 Women Who Care donated $2,900 that will go towards the purchase of the house. Well, there is a new exhibit which is now on display in New York City. It's designed to raise awareness over the continued dangers of deforestation and climate change. Ghost Forest opened to the public Monday at Madison Square Park. The exhibit was created by designer and artist Maya Lin and features a makeshift forest containing 49 lifeless Atlantic white cedars. The rare Atlantic white cedars have been destroyed in recent years due to brush fires and saltwater creeping into their habitat from the ocean. Just give you hints of it. Little tease. You got to go to New York if you want to see it.
That's perfect. Tanya, it's pretty amazing when we think about how cool it's been the past couple of days, but our average high for May is still, look at that, 70.3 degrees. It's just because we started off so warm. We threw up a slew of high 70s, and then we had that 83 on Saturday. We're slowly going to creep back up and get some warmer temperatures here. 50 degrees outside of Television City with mostly overcast skies. That's because our cloud cover has yet to recede, but we're starting to see it just begin to break out to the west right here. A little rain every now and then, just a random raindrop is all that it will amount to. Our temperatures right now, 50 in Joplin, 52 in Miami, 49 in Iowa, and we'll roll 50 in both Lamar and in Carthage. Nice little bump up from what we had not only yesterday, but especially on Monday when we dropped down into the 30s. Thunderstorm activity from the Gulf to the Mid-Atlantic, high pressure hanging over us. That means we are going to have sunshine and make it up into the low to mid 60s today. We're pretty much done with that rain. Enjoy 3 perfect mornings and afternoons until thunderstorm activity arrives on Saturday. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. On the KOAM News Now Facebook page this morning and our morning Insta poll, Facebook is about Facebook. So Facebook is now testing out a way to urge people to read news articles before sharing them. And our question to you is, how much of a news article do you read before sharing it on social media? Right now, 71% of you say you read the full article compared to 21% who say skim through it, and just 8% of you say you read the headline and then send it on. And if you're in the group that's actually being kind of beta tested as far as the pop-up that you receive before sending on an article, let us know on our KOAM Facebook site. And we would love to know how that's working out for you. And you can always make your voice heard each and every morning on our Insta poll by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Now, over to Tanya in Studio K.
Right, well, little boys and puppy dogs have been best friends since the beginning of time. But for a Minnesota boy, the relationship with his golden retriever puppy is extra special. Chris Martinez explains why from Los Angeles.
7-year-old Paxton Williams gets around just fine with his prosthetic leg. Now the Waconia, Minnesota boy has a new puppy who also has special needs.
Marvel! Wait, now we're gonna keep her forever?
Marvel was born without a right front paw.
I have a prosthetic and she has 3 paws.
Paxton was born premature. Doctors amputated his foot 3 years ago after he developed an infection in his leg that stunted his growth. He now walks and moves easily on his own with a prosthetic.
Marvel!
Marvel's breeder knew she had a very special dog.
When she was born, we knew right away she has a special purpose. We wanted her to go in a home with someone who had a limb difference.
Last week, she found her new home with Paxton.
It was like they knew that they were special. The amount of emotions that were running through me at the time, it was just awesome because it was knowing that she was in the perfect place at the perfect time.
Paxton's mom says Marvel has helped her boy share his own story.
It gives him the opportunity to tell the kids, oh, she's missing a paw, she's like me, and it just gives him that voice too to advocate for himself.
Marvel may also need a prosthetic sometime in the future.
She loves me.
Paxton's parents are enjoying watching their son and Marvel overcome their challenges together. Chris Martinez, CBS News.
Oh, they're so cute. We'll be right back. Your next trip to the grocery store could be a painful one for your wallet. Between food and labor shortages and rising gas prices, prices at the grocery store are going up. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the price of fruits and vegetables rose 1% in March, while meat, fish, and eggs went up by 0.7%. The labor shortages range from grocery store workers to delivery drivers, which are still trying to get back to pre-pandemic levels. Chicken is in short supply, and Tyson is partly blaming its roosters. The company says it tried out a new kind, and the breeding birds are not living up to their get-up-and-go farmyard stereotype. Now Tyson's trying a different type. It's bringing the original kind of male birds home to roost. But it's not just the love lives of birds causing the shortage. Tyson says a winter storm affected its operations in Texas, and it's had trouble retaining workers since poultry plants have been COVID-19 hotspots. Well, American Airlines is making adjustments to some of its flights as a result of the Colonial pipeline shutdown. The usual nonstop flight from Charlotte to Honolulu will now land in Dallas, where passengers will transfer to another plane. The Charlotte to London flight will touch down in Boston for refueling. Officials with the carrier say they're keeping close watch on the situation to ensure they have enough fuel for their network. So far, Delta Airlines, Southwest Airlines, and United have not made changes to their schedules as of yet. Are up. Kevin Cork has more on the projected numbers for Memorial Day weekend and what's helping more Americans feel comfortable about seeking adventure.
With more places to go, more Americans are now on the move as vaccinations are helping to fuel domestic travel, and experts say it's only expected to get busier. AAA now predicting a massive increase in travel over this upcoming Memorial Day weekend. Company officials estimate roughly 37 million people will venture at least 50 miles from home during the holiday. That's a 60% increase from 2020.
We're heading to Los Alamos area to do some wine tasting and have a lot of fun.
And highways aren't the only places seeing more traffic, as airports are buzzing with new life. TSA announcing more than 1.7 million folks took to the skies Sunday, a new pandemic flying record.
Most everybody I know has had their vaccinations, and I just felt like it's time to get out of the house a little bit and go somewhere.
Meanwhile, tourism is also gaining traction, with cities like New York boasting a rise in out-of-state visitors.
There's a lot of optimism and momentum building. The ship is certainly turning, and we feel tourism gradually starting to come back.
The reopening of Broadway in the fall, larger crowds approved for sporting venues, and looser restrictions for restaurants and museums are all boosting travel to the Big Apple.
On Broadway.
AAA is also predicting roughly 2.5 million Americans could take to the skies over the Memorial Day weekend, creating the possibility of yet another flying record. We'll be right back with more after this, but first let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
And then it just got...
We've got something exciting coming up this week on KOAM and Fox 14. Tomorrow morning, we'll be hosting Vaccine Day. Experts from Mercy Hospital Joplin will be taking your calls and answering your questions regarding the COVID-19 vaccine. Be sure to tune in to each of our newscasts, starting with the KOAM Morning News for our Vaccine Day special. Well, it's time for What the Tech. A government agency is offering Americans reduced fees for a vital service. Federal Communications Commission says many Americans with reduced income caused by the coronavirus pandemic may be eligible for a $50 internet bill reduction. The discount comes from provisions in the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program passed by Congress in December of 2020. Internet connectivity and its affordability became more critical as Americans had to work from home or other non-work locations, and as school children had to do learning from home. You can apply for the FCC. You can apply on the FCC website. Attorneys general from more than 40 states want Facebook to rethink its proposed Instagram for kids. The group reportedly cited research linking increased social media usage to mental illnesses and pointed out the potential safety and security concerns. Facebook currently allows people 13 and over to register for an Instagram account. Instagram for Kids would be advertised for children as young as 6. Well, in the never-ending war to grab viewers, YouTube is ready to dish out some serious dough. YouTube announced a $100 million fund to pay the most popular creators on its new short-form video product. Shorts marks the company's first response to the surging popularity of short video platforms like TikTok. Shorts, just like the name implies, are quick attention-grabbing videos which users can shoot, edit, and upload using the YouTube app on their phones. The company will reach out to creators making videos garnering the most views and engagement starting in the coming months. All right. Well, saving up your pennies for a Tesla, well, you might want to convert those coins over to Doge. Tesla's CEO Elon Musk is teasing accepting Dogecoin as a payment option for the electric vehicles. Musk took to Twitter to see what his followers thought. And as of early yesterday morning, 77% of the more than 2 million respondents support it. This would not be the first cryptocurrency accepted by the motor company. Tesla began accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment a few months ago.
Just God forbid if you run a company, don't go on Saturday Night Live.
But what exactly is Dogecoin?
No, I'm not. No, you're not. You're not getting me in on this.
You watched it, didn't you?
No, he had enough time. He got enough flack with the whole SNL.
But what is Dogecoin?
Skywatch Storm Tracker, Tanya. Nice try there. We're starting to see a little breakup of the cloud cover. Our rain throughout the northern portion of southwest Missouri just about done. Now let's begin our warm-up. Still clinging to a high 40 right there in Monette and Cassville, 52 in Miami, and 51 right now in Chanute. Hasn't been a bad morning at all, and all the severe weather is going to ride once again south of the jet stream, about third consecutive day that it's done that, as we'll see thunderstorm activity along the Gulf up to the mid-Atlantic. But you get on the north side of it, big high pressure system sitting over the Midwest that it will clear out our clouds and bring us a beautiful Wednesday morning and afternoon as well. Give you an idea of the severe thunderstorm risk map, second consecutive day that we've been able to avoid the low category in the contiguous 48. So that's great news. Also, some additional good news on this Wednesday morning. The flood warning for the Little Osage River in Vernon County, Missouri, has been lifted. We were talking about the crest being probably top 50 of all time that was recorded. National Weather Service went ahead and lifted that. So that is just wonderful, wonderful news for everybody up in the Nevada and Horton areas. 63 degrees this afternoon and clearing off. And so we will finally get some good sunshine. And then overnight, it's still going to be cool, but at the same point in time, we get to avoid those 30s of what we had earlier in this week. As far as future track goes, watch that rain just break up around us, and by the time we get to the afternoon, we're clearing off. Everything stays far to the south, far to the north, and we get to enjoy a Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday that are going to be absolutely delightful as we head into the weekend. Now, speaking of the weekend, do want to point out thunderstorm activity for Saturday evening and Sunday as well. Warmer temperatures, a whole lot of instability in the air. That's something we're going to eyeball here as we make our way toward the weekend. But for the next 3 days, get out and enjoy some great May weather. We'll be back and wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. A supply line shutdown makes gasoline a scarce commodity across the southern U.S. The Colonial pipeline was taken offline last week following a cyber attack on its computer systems. The pipeline carries nearly half of the East Coast fuel supply, including 70% of what's used in the Carolinas, Tennessee, Georgia, and Southern Virginia. Federal judge dismisses the NRA's bankruptcy case. The ruling said the gun rights group petition had not been filed in good faith. He said it was an attempt to avoid a civil lawsuit brought by the New York Attorney General. And Kentucky Derby winner Medina Spirit will be allowed to run in the Preakness this Saturday if the horse passes an additional round of drug tests. Colt failed a first drug test after winning the Derby. His handlers agreed to the extra scrutiny as a condition for participating in the second leg of the Triple Crown. Let's check in with Michael with a final look at your forecast.
Tanya, just because it's something that I've become bridled in recently.
Bridled in.
Medina Spirit's lineage would include names like Unbridled, Seattle Slew, Secretariat, and Man o' War.
Why did I have a feeling that you would run away with this story?
Medina Spirit was bought for $35,000. That's that's pocket change when we're talking about.
Yeah, I was going to say that seems cheap.
Pocket change. Now we'll get sunny skies later on today and make it up into the mid 60s. Delightful 3 days ahead of us before we get thunderstorms over the weekend.
Some people like to bet on horses. Some people like to bet on babies. Let the royal guessing game begin. Bookies list some of the most popular names for Prince Harry and Meghan's soon-to-be baby girl.
You are the best. You are the best.
The British royals are expecting their second child sometime this summer, and the bets are off with people placing money on the potential titles for the little royal. Some of the popular picks include family names such as Elizabeth and Diana, ranking in 10-1 and 5-1 odds, respectively. But topping the leaderboard is Philippa.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3-1 odds.
Yeah.
I don't know why. No, I don't think so.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Michael could grab you about a minus 150. I know some guys in the desert if you're interested. More news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.
United Express flights from Joplin Regional Airport can take you to Chicago.